I'm on YouTube now. It's like preparing to live stream. Okay, it's showing everybody. It's showing exactly what's on my screen, which is gallery. So I'm going to switch my view to, I'll switch mine to, what's it called? Speaker. Yeah. Speaker. Okay, now. There's a lag time, so I'm waiting for it to catch up. Okay, that's good. Maybe in the meantime, I think I'm going to spotlight the window that says Unitarian Society until Kim, you can take over on the spotlighting once we get started.
So did you figure it out, Molly?
Yes, I figured it out. It's good. We're live streaming on YouTube right now, and what people are seeing is the Great Hall.
Uh-huh. Great.
But if I heard you right, when you change your view from gallery to speaker, that changes the view on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Great information to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but the good thing is that when you're on speaker view, you know how on your computer, there's the big window and then it has the little pictures of us up on top. That does not appear on the YouTube video.
Good.
Good enough.
So it's the way it should be. Yay.
Sometimes things work.
Well,
I need to change my name.
We'll take that. The other glitch I've encountered, Steve, if you're listening, and maybe you'll know the answer to this too, is at the beginning of the service when we mute all, one time it muted some things that weren't supposed to be muted. Like if you mute all, does it not mute the co-hosts? That's what I'm hoping is true.
When you mute all, it mutes all, including this computer that's feeding the sound from USNF to the Zoom. So as long as somebody knows you're going to be hitting the mute all button, it's fine. I could be here and be prepared to unmute this computer. But otherwise, yeah, mute all. If somebody's not expecting it, they think the audio is going out, and then suddenly this computer that feeds Zoom is muted.
So is that something the sound person is always prepared for? They know that the co-host is going to mute all, so they just automatically unmute themselves?
I I
They
can't
should.
speak for other sound people. Probably they should. I can promise you that's not something that's top of mind for me. It will be top of mind now that you've said that. So at least today I will be prepared.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's been my understanding, that because we have to mute all, then anybody who's a co-host, they have the ability to unmute themselves, whereas participants do not have the ability to unmute themselves.
And
So anybody
unfortunately,
running a screen that's a co-host, if their audio is supposed to be coming, they have to know to unmute themselves.
and the problem is that we, as the host, we cannot unmute them. We're helpless. Once they're muted, we can't unmute them. And if they don't know that they're muted, we're like, ah.
Well, the one thing that a host could do is send somebody a notice asking them to unmute, because if they don't know they've been muted,
Right,
then
right.
something pops up on their screen saying, the host has asked you to unmute. They go, oh, okay, I'll unmute.
Right, yes, we can hit the ask to unmute. That's right. Yeah.
But now that you know, Steve, it's not going to happen anyway. So
It's going to be smooth sailing today.
smooth as silk.
And Molly, you have my cell phone, right?
Yes, let me just get this.
Because I believe we've exchanged numbers when back being on the board and we were running meetings and stuff like that. So
Yes, I'll pull it up just in case. So I should probably call you instead of text you, right? If something comes up.
you can text me. I've got my phone right next to me, so I'd get a thing. I mean, you can call if you want to, but
All right.
I've
Okay.
texted with other Zoom hosts,
All right.
We can also private chat each other. There's so many options.
Yeah. That's what I usually do. Actually, you know what? I don't have you in my phones. Let me add
Oh,
you.
okay.
I'll make a new contact. Okay, what's your phone?
It's 413
Mm-hmm.
231
Mm-hmm.
7578.
Great.
There we go.
All right. I'm so prepared here.
Now, are we doing a Zoom social time after the service?
Oh, well, who knows if anybody will show up, but I'm willing to host that if need be.
I didn't know if that continued on in the summer or not.
I
I
don't
guess
know.
I guess we just see who shows up and then we can ask people.
Yeah, we'll just, I'll offer it as an option. If anybody wants to stay, they can stay. it's probably gonna be like the same 4 people. But
Probably.
okay.
Yeah. Although you never know, people might be away and then zooming in if they're usually in person or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we could always offer it to be we will host a 20-minute or something and not have it go on for an hour.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah,
It's summer
Okay.
and it's a beautiful day. People want to get out, right?
that's right. Yes.
Hmm. I'm just texting with my daughter. She's into hiking and she's in Northeast Mass. So she's been trying to do New Hampshire hikes and do some of the 48 4000s, And I was just reading
Oh,
next Saturday, they're doing a huge event. I don't know if you remember a story, sad story. Last fall, a 20-year-old girl died on one of those
oh,
peaks.
yeah.
She was by herself and it was cold weather and she wasn't prepared.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
So the parents have started a foundation for educating and doing hiking. So they're doing a whole big thing. Like people are hiking all the 48 next Saturday and doing a fundraiser for the foundation and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the foundation for?
You know what? I'll send you the link, but they're doing they've set up a foundation for like it was in the Gazette. I was just reading it, but it was an AP article.
Yeah, I briefly I saw something in the Gazette, but I didn't read all the details.
Yeah. But it's something to promote, education. It's called Emily's Hike to Save a Life.
Ah,
And it's named, the foundation's named after her, and it's the Safety and Persistence Charitable Foundation.
huh. And what that
Really
is.
neat. Yeah.
Huh. Wow, so it's going to be crowded up there.
Yeah, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, that's amazing if all these people come up and they raise all this money.
Yeah. And the parents themselves have been taking up hiking. They weren't hikers and they're in their 50s.
Oh, wow.
And they just finished, they
God.
just did one of the first 4000s
Hmm.
themselves with a guide. Yeah.
Wow. What an awful thing to lose a child. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so did you say your daughter's going up there for that?
Well, I just texted her the information. Unfortunately, she's got another commitment next Saturday, but she's going to make a donation. And it talked about there's a couple different groups that she wasn't aware of, that like hiking buddy groups for doing the 48, and she needs to connect with other people to do those
Yeah.
hikes. Yeah, so that's good.
I don't do much in the White Mountains. I mean, I've hiked maybe one time on one trip. I did like 3 of the presidential ones, but I haven't really done much. I don't really know the White Mountains at all. I spend my time in the Adirondacks. And those mountains I know very well and have hiked a lot of them.
Okay. Well, we do the ones around Lake George, since we have a shared summer place up there, and we go up there every summer. So.
Oh, really? So what are some other ones you do there?
Probably maybe some lesser known ones. We're on the foot of what's called Sunrise Mountain in Silver Bay in Hague. So we do that one because it's literally in our backyard.
Have you ever hiked Tongue Mountain?
Which one?
Tongue.
Oh yeah, Tongue Mountain. Oh yeah, it's been a while, but oh yeah, we've done some of those hikes for sure.
What are those? That air has been it's interesting to me because there's rattlesnakes there supposedly. And,
Oh, there are. In fact, we've seen one twice at our cottage.
oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Never saw one until about, I think it was about 10 years ago. And other people had said they'd seen them around. And, you know, when you check in, when you sign in at the base mountain, you know, sometimes you would see people would sign out and they'd say they'd seen one and stuff. But we, of course, everything's on a mountain there. So our shared family cottage, it's up high, and we park, and then there's a path, a little hill to get up to the cottage. So we had come back from being down at the water, and my kids ran ahead. Colin was probably 10, you know, and I was following with all the gear, and halfway up on a sunny rock, there was a rattlesnake all coiled, and I just screamed because I was shocked to see it. And then I was thinking, you know, oh my God, my kids just ran by it. They were like within a foot or two of it and didn't even know it. They just ran right by it.
Oh,
Never even saw it, you know. So then we watched it. The thing is, it didn't react when I screamed.
mhm.
Oh, we've got somebody coming in.
All right. People coming.
Craig, yeah. It didn't react when I screamed. We watched it for like 45 minutes. It very slowly kind of just meandered around. Of course, we watched to make sure it didn't go up into our porch, and, you know. And eventually, after an hour, it made its way. But we read up on them. And rattlesnakes are actually deaf,
Yeah.
which I hadn't realized.
They use so much with the sense of smell and heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure they can feel vibrations though in the
Right.
ground.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really interesting. And then yeah, but either last summer or the summer before, we just happened to notice another one. And once we notice it in our property, we keep an eye on it to see where it goes, because it could easily get into our summer only 100-year-old, you know, all kinds of things get in it.
You have to
Yeah.
watch where you put your hands and feet.
Yeah. And we watch when we're hiking. And the thing is, after I see one, then it's like whenever I'm out and about, I just like I see a stick and I think it's a snake. You know, it's like
Yes,
visually
right.
my mind goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Craig, are you up on your place in New Hampshire?
Yep, we are.
Do you have snakes on your island?
No, but we have a nesting loon. Twice she tried, and twice she failed, because we also have mink. And I think the mink were the ones that got the eggs.
Oh,
So, and we also had beavers building a den under our boathouse. It's been a very exciting summer.
Mm. We have a lot of loons on Lake George, which is what Molly and I were just talking about, in the Adirondacks. When I was a kid, we didn't have loons there, so they've really made a nice comeback up there.
Oh, nice. Oh, I like to hear that, because our nest was the last hope for Lake Wentworth. All the other nests had failed. So we were really hoping, but not this year.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to hear that they're elsewhere. and
Yes.
Doing well. Yeah.
So where did you encounter a rattlesnake? At the tail end of the country.
Twice at our summer cottage in Lake George.
Wow.
In the Adirondacks, yeah. And of course they're protected. So one of the ones we saw, you know, it was marked on its tail, because they'll mark them so they can track them.
oh,
Yeah.
how was it marked? Paint?
They've got like an orange paint like on the tail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The snakes must hate that.
So I didn't hear that story. Was it scary? Was it near you?
So of course it's mountains. So our cottage, our property where we park, you have to walk up a hill of a path to get to the actual cottage. And so this was about 10 years ago. And so Colin was like 10. And he and Jill, we were coming back from the water. They got out of the car, just ran up to the cottage, and I was following with the gear, and halfway up, it's just coiled on a rock, and they had been about 2 feet from it, just ran right by it, didn't even notice it. Because I screamed, because I was like shocked to see it, but also like, oh my God, my kids just like almost stepped on it, you know. But after that, we just watched it. It hung around for an hour and slowly made its way off our property. And
Wow.
had a similar different type about a year or two ago.
Mm.
And they're protected because they're endangered. So you just, we just watch them and make sure they don't get into our cottage.
Mhm.
But we do have a snake catcher that we keep on the porch in case we need to catch one.
Oh,
Discover
that's
it
handy.
inside. It's like a long reacher grabber thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't had to use it. So we had a garter snake in there once, but that's not. Yeah.
My cat sometimes brings snakes into the house. And if I'm not home, if I'm home, he'll just like deposit it right at my feet. But if I'm not home, he'll just like let it go. And I found one once in the bathroom. And then I just picked it up and put it outside. And another one, though, was like about a couple weeks later after he'd brought it in. It was when there was a house sitter and she knew he'd brought it in, but she didn't know where it was. So it was just somewhere. I came home and I was getting out a little plastic container from a box of like little plastic containers. And there was this thing sticking out that I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't tell what it was, but it was a snake's like little face looking up like this, looking out of the bin. It was so funny. Anyway, so I just picked it up and put it outside.
Oh, you're good, Molly.
Not, it wouldn't be that way if it was a rattlesnake.
We had a snake in our basement a long time ago when Jesslyn was like 4 or something, and it was green. I'd never seen a green
Oh,
snake.
those are beautiful. I love
And
those.
she took it to the Montessori school as a pet.
Those are
But
so pretty. Those green grass. There's a smooth green snake and a rough green snake. They're gorgeous and they're so docile.
so yeah, Jesslyn had a snake as a pet and then a turtle. So not your normal pets.
Wow. I'm going to start the slides here. I'm going to mute myself too. So bye everybody.
Nice
Bye.
conversation.
Who? Bill?
because I'm going to leave.
Good morning. Welcome to our service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. I'm David Mix Barrington. I'm a member of the choir and the worship committee. It is wonderful to see you this morning in the Great Hall and online. Thank you to everyone who is helping to make the service happen this morning. Children are welcome in the Great Hall, and we also have activities and childcare downstairs if you decide now or later in the service that it would be a better option for you. If you are new or returning after a time away, we're very glad you're here. Please feel free to fill out a blue welcome card, which looks like this. You can put it in the offering plate later in the service. There is also an online version that you'll find through the link in the chat. We'll put you on an email list so that you can receive information about all our activities. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, religious beliefs, backgrounds, sexual orientations, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we are guided and inspired by values and principles. Our values and principles move us to remember that we in Northampton inhabit unceded land of the Pocumtuck and Nipmuc peoples. They remind us to acknowledge our responsibility to face the legacies of dispossession and systemic racism that are part of our collective history, even as we also affirm and celebrate the legacies that inspire us. If you are on Zoom, we ask that you please keep your videos off except during the greeting. And now we'll begin our service.
Hi, everybody. So sweet of you all to come. It's sweet to see your faces this morning. Oh, you can't hear me, Tara? All right. Thank you, hon. I wanted to start by thanking some of the wonderful people who helped to get this service together, especially Jenny Ferringer, Terry Harnaker, our pianist, Michelle Feldheim, David Mix-Barrington, Molly Hale, Kim and Rishon, Steve O'Day, and all our service volunteers for their help in making this service happen. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. The word grace has many meanings. The soulful grace in a living being, mindful action in the gift and receipt of forgiveness, and in those moments of epiphany, when the murky shapes of our existence come into focus and truth flows through us unimpeded like light across the waters. Now for chalice lighting.
I invite everyone to rise in body or spirit for our chalice lighting. We'll remain standing for the first hymn, which is number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. So, are there words for the chalice lighting?
Chalice lighting, it's in the quarter meeting.
I see.
It's our usual chalice lighting.
Okay. It's up there? All right, great. Okay. We light our chalice as a beacon of hope, a sign of our quest for truth and meaning. We light our chalice as a beacon of love in celebration for the life we share together. Okay.
Right. Well, here's the first of the 4 mini reflections that'll make up this service. I call this one a little bit of light. Excuse me? Louder. So I need to be closer to the mic. Hard to do. Am I louder now? Yes. If I could put this here. Is that okay for the Zoom folks? Yeah. All right. I didn't want to cover everything up with the service. I love that hymn. I can't get through it without tears, actually. But sometimes that third verse, it feels just a little snarky. You know, you ever thought about it? I mean, Disappointment pierced me through. Still, I kept on loving you, you rat. You know? It just seems kind of passive aggressive. You know, it's like that Billy Joel song, She's Always a Woman to Me. You know that one? He goes on and on for like 3 verses, detailing all the ways in which this presumably ex-lover is a jerk. But at the end of every verse, he says, you know, yeah, she steals like a thief, but she's always a woman to me. Gee, Billy, it's not forgiveness if you're still itemizing. Well, I know I need forgiveness. Don't we all? You know, it would kind of mess up the theme, but I wish that there was another verse to hymn number 6 that gives us a chance to say how grateful we are that somebody still loves us, despite all the time we mess up. It doesn't rhyme, but I'd like to add, just getting a little feedback here. I'd like to add, disappointment pierced you through, and still you kept on loving me. Thanks, Terry. Thank you for your patient faith in covenant with me. Tell them I said yes to that covenant we share. Well, I can't change hymn number 6, but I did write a kind of antidote to passive-aggressive breakup songs. When I was 19 and just a pup, I had one of those relationships that don't work out, you know, the kind where you just totally botch your attempt to love each other. And when she moved on to somebody else in a really awkward way, I felt worthless and squashed and cried a lot. You get the general idea. In time, though, you get some distance on these things, these botched attempts to love. And right through the heart of sorrow, a little light comes through. Another word for grace. Here's that little bit of light. It's a song I wrote in honor of that botched attempt at love, in honor of a person I tried to love who tried to love me back. I call it Looking for Home. Last night I had another dream. Thought you were beside me. Someone's dog was barking someone's yard. Thought I was home. Thought I was home. Ain't it funny how the memory goes? I've lost the color of your eyes, but then you hid beneath the sort of haze, looking for home, looking for home. Wouldn't it be nice to start all over and never keep a score? Save a space for one another with an open door. Though it seems seems that people never change. They never give it a try. I'm not looking for you, darling. I'm looking for home. Looking for home. Wouldn't it be nice to start all over and never keep a score? Save a space for one another with an open door. Though it seems that people never change, they never give it a try. I'm not looking for you, darling. I'm looking for home. Looking for home.
If you're on Zoom, you're invited to turn on your videos, wave, and say hello in the chat. It's helpful to switch to gallery view. Yes. You may need to ring the bell at the end of the greeting. Words. It has been good to see everyone. Please remember to turn off your videos. And where are we now? We're at the offering. Okay. Our generosity makes everything we do possible, and it helps us support organizations and movements in the greater community. Half of the proceeds of each week's offering, Steve, we're feedback a little bit. Half of the proceeds of each week's offering support the Society's operating budget, and half are shared outside our walls. The organizations we are currently supporting are listed on the screen. If you are participating on Zoom or on YouTube, you can mail in a check or donate online. The link is in the chat. Our morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Just gonna sing this while we're doing it. It's a song about gratitude. In the evening, early evening, anytime, when the smog clears away and the skyline is clear, is clear, is clear, is clear, it's clear, it gets so clear. Oh, life is good. Surely there's time enough for everything. In the morning, early morning, rowing in the rain, and the raindrops fall so softly, and everything seems one. Seems one, seems one, is one, is one, it's all one. Oh, life is good. Surely there's time enough for everything. We're together, all together, laughing, and some low-flying plane passes by, and I thank God I'm breathing. To laugh, to cry, to dream, to try, to love. Oh, life is good. Surely there's time enough for everything. Here's the second one, A Walk in Beauty. Maybe we first think of grace as a physical gift, serene fluidity in movement. You look in on a dance class or any collection of people performing a task, and your eye is drawn to someone in the group who has it. Grace. It's not determined by gender, age, or size. It's not the shape their body makes in space. It's the way they inhabit that shape. It's the way they move from one position to the next with such seamless ease that the gesture stops your breath. A graceful person seems so at home in their muscles and bones that it's almost as if they're moving in a slightly different element. You know what I mean? Some invisible dimension that naturally sustains them, the way the rest of us can do only when we're immersed in pool water and prancing around in the shallow end in slow motion. Have you ever done that? Sort of magically effortless for a little while. We've got quite a lot of feedback going here. I hope that's okay. Is that okay? Okay. So as a visual aid, here is an example. Exhibit A, my mom. Circa 1948, Vogue model. Here she is, rocking a hat. And here she is, seducing a purse. And here she is, this next one. She's just looking like Greta Garbo. I imagine that the person directing the shoot said, "Look aloof." But I wish I had a video. I wish I had a video I could show you of her on stage in her acting days. She moved with such striking ease and dignity that you'd never know she was legally blind at that point. And the furniture and actors around her appeared to her as a collection of vague, dark shapes. Always hit her marks. And here she is, about 40 years later. No makeup, and to my way of thinking, more gorgeous than ever. I got to look into those eyes for 63 years. She was a woman of such grace that in her mid-80s, navigating the kitchen in her ratty blue nightgown with a coffee cup in hand, deep in thought, she carried herself so beautifully that you might mistake the moment for a regal procession from Westminster to Buckingham Palace. That kind of grace. And when she couldn't walk anymore, she was grace in a chair. There's no explanation for the fact that this paragon gave birth to the linebacker who stands before. But I do love to prance in the shallow end of the pool. The problem is I moved like my dad, Exhibit B. You see, he's just goofy. He's an attending physician. He's director of clinical pediatrics, but he's rocking that hat to work. He's going to show up looking like that. And here he is at 19. He's the kid on the far right, trying to look butch, but his uniform's too big for him. In 4 days, he's going to ship out for combat with the Navy in the South Pacific. He does love to sail, but this is a very scary kind of sailing. Right into the Battle of Leyte Gulf. But right now, he's really scared of these guys he's doing shore leave with. Later this evening, he will escape them at the Hollywood Palladium when he asks Greta Garbo to dance. And happily for the kids they're going to have eventually, she will say yes. Here they are, Exhibit C, having dinner on the night he's come back from the war. They had just 3 dates before he shipped out. It's been a year and a half since they've been in each other's presence. They're both unsure of themselves and terribly nervous in their excitement about the situation. But she's so graceful. He doesn't notice. She's as scared as he is. You can tell by looking at him what he's thinking. She walks in beauty. Good God, how can I possibly deserve her company? This incredible grace that has dropped into my life. But he was a gracious person, treated everyone he ever met with respect and kindness. That sweet spirit swept her right off her feet. So you see how it is. They loved each other's grace. They outlived everybody they knew except their kids and their nieces and nephews. And differing as they did in religion, neither one of them got a church memorial when they passed. So I snuck one in for them just now. And here's the song I wrote for them. Close enough. It's called Starlight. Take a piece of dawn, stretch it on the sky. Pretty soon the day comes, filling up our eyes. Now I'm on my own, busy all the time. That's how children are. Take a piece of dawn, stretch it on the sky. I first learned to love, looking in your eyes, and all you once had hope, finding in the world. You see it in the mirror, your own boy and girl. The saints were children once, before they learn to pray. And everyone finds God in his lonely way. But all I know of mercy and all I know of grace, I met it in your hands, moving in your face. Take a piece of dawn, stretch it on the sky. Pretty soon the day comes, filling up our eyes. But when the day is ending and on the darkness comes, you are my starlight.
Now please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 205, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I
Pete, this is the third one. Amazing Grace. The hymn we just sang expressed the gratitude of its author, John Newton, a transporter of kidnapped people from West Africa into slavery, who knew grace in the moment he stopped doing this evil work and took up instead the international effort to end it. Grace was the experience of being granted not only the wisdom to see the right, but the strength to move in its direction. In the Christian conception, at least the traditional Christian conception, grace means the unmerited experience of forgiveness and mercy, forgiveness freely granted by the ground of all being to us humans who are inherently bumbling scumbags. Our job is to accept this mercy with gratitude and, according to Jesus, to pay it forward by bearing with and doing kindness to each other in spite of our self-obsessed natures and our hurtful bumbling. So on the surface, perhaps it's a little weird to write about that concept from a Unitarian Universalist point of view, because the first of the 8 core beliefs that define our otherwise non-creedal faith is that we believe in and affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We don't start from original sin or the inherent depravity of humans in its aftermath. We start from the affirmation that every person has natural, inalienable dignity and rights and is inherently worthy of the oxygen we breathe. But the attitude we covenant to assume towards ourselves and one another is a species of grace. It's the respect and compassion with which we recognize and embrace one another's wholeness as people, patient in the face of the limitations and foibles that just go with being sentient creatures. It's the energy that lives in respectful and compassionate action, a posture of reverence for the soul in each of us, an open, attentive, imaginative engagement with one another, loving right into the mess. I found myself in company with someone who hurt me deeply a long time ago, felt the dark filter of fear and anger fall away, and let me see them as they truly were, longing as I long, suffering as I suffer, hoping into the dark just as I hope, and wishing with all their heart to do better than either of us have ever managed to do so far. I have seen it, inherent worth and dignity, amid the hunger and self-doubt and all the bumbling it engenders. Inherent worth and dignity, theirs and mine, ours.
For our meditation this morning, the words of Henry Eyring: "There is always time. There is someone you can forgive. There is someone you can thank. There is someone you can serve and lift." Let's be together a moment in silence.
Good morning. You hear me? Yeah? Okay. Surprised by Joy by William Wordsworth. Surprised by joy, impatient as the wind, I turned to share the transport. Oh, with whom but thee, long buried in the silent tomb, that spot which no vicissitude can find. Love, faithful love, recall thee to my mind. But how could I forget thee? Through what power, even for the least division of an hour, have I been so beguiled as to be blind to my most grievous loss? That thought's return was the worst pain that sorrow ever bore, save one only, when I stood forlorn, knowing my heart's best treasure was no more, that neither present time nor years unborn could to my sight that heavenly face restore.
This is the last of the reflections. Surprised by joy. Thank you, Terry. Beautiful reading. The title of that famous sonnet is really misleading. You see, surprised by joy, and you think, oh, this is great. But it's not. It's not, wow, suddenly I feel good. It's about being ambushed by a spasm of delight that the speaker feels instant anguish and guilt for having experienced. First, because the person he wants to share it with has died. And second, because he believes that in the aftermath of that loss, to experience joy ever, even for an instant, is to betray that lost beloved. He's describing something painfully real for so many of us who've lost someone we profoundly love. I know I felt it. It's one of the ways grief manifests in those of us left here for a while to learn how to cope with it. In time, though, right through the heart of that sorrow, a little light comes through. Now, when I feel that stab of hopeless longing, the tear that follows the laughter, when I've enjoyed something I used to enjoy with someone I loved who is gone, when I felt my lost one's remembered presence and delighted in the memory, I don't feel guilt. I love them. They loved me. What they wished for me was joy. I half suspect they're the ones who are pulling on the rope to send it down to me. Terry and I get in the car these days and we're listening to the radio and the song is too jumpy and loud for us. And we find each other saying, too jiggly. That's what my dad always said if the music was too jiggly. And in that moment, I feel him. He's in the car with us and he's saying, too jiggly. Let's go to something else. C.S. Lewis used Wordsworth's poem for the title of his spiritual autobiography, Surprised by Joy. But for Lewis, the lost beloved is not a mortal individual, not a mother, father, cousin, child, partner, all of which he lost, but the infinite ground of being, which our souls remember and sense as through a glass darkly, but that we can't experience wholly because we manifest as mortal creatures and our brains are too limited to comprehend everything, except in these brief, startling intimations. For C.S. Lewis, it's a beloved not to mourn so much as to look forward to. The love we share on earth, a preview, a kind of training wheel for the infinite love of which our souls are capable, the love that brought us into being. And each stab of joy is a signpost pointing the way toward an awesome, eternal completeness that transcends anything available to us in our mortal experience. Kind of like Socrates' conception of the good. I don't know enough about any of this stuff. Their language for epiphany is their own, but I do know about being surprised by joy. Lewis distinguishes joy from pleasure, and I think I do too. I think of joy as an explosion of pleasure, like Three Dog Night singing, joy to the world, all the boys and girls now, and the binary and non-binary people. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Just joy, just triumphant delight in being in this form while we are in this form. And when you're really deeply in it, you're not only immanent, you're all in it, but you're also transcendent. That perfect happiness is infinite because it's perfect, right? Released from longing. We are in the embrace of exactly what we long for. And it's also intrinsically impermanent. It is a kind of stab. That's what C.S. Lewis called it, a stab of joy. because you experience both an ecstasy of delight and an awareness that you are experiencing the sensation, that you experience that emotion. So with that recognition, there comes a kind of wistfulness. Part of the intensity in the feeling is knowing you can't always have it. You haven't always felt, and you won't always feel this exquisite clarity that you're feeling in this moment. Paradoxically, that very impermanence is what makes it great. You breathe into that joyful moment and breathe in deep, because you're not built to keep it always at this full pitch of recognition and delight. You'll have to release it soon. Breathe out and let it go. You won't always be in this restaurant enjoying the first taste of this fantastic meal with the love of your life. You won't always be sprawled on a couch full of your dear ones at your most relaxed, in the wonder of being together, just enjoying each other, alive, alive, alive. Someday you'll lose one another. Someday you'll lose yourself. That understanding is an integral part of the joy. It's the sharp reminder to be fully present, to be here now, an interior voice saying, pay attention, don't miss any part of this. This is the point of being. Grace, in the Buddhist sense of the word, is the ability to rest in that moment, appreciating both the breathing in and the release, conscious of this light that dances on infinite waters. You really need to breathe through such moments, embracing them and releasing them in the faith that though this moment must pass, there is enough time, always enough time, to live it deeply. If, paradoxically, you simply let it be. Now let's rise in body or spirit for the last of our hymns. Number 410, Surprised by Joy. Our postlude today is a song I wrote in memory of a certain beloved sailor. But it is for all of us voyagers. May we give and receive the grace of love all along this journey together. It's a pretty simple tune. You'll probably get the hang of after the first verse or so. So we put the lyrics in the slides. And if you feel like it, you're more than welcome to sing along. We got some great choir people here. I'm looking for some harmonies. Let's make it happen. to rest my soul on the heaving tide, sailing to that mystery on the other side, where there ain't no pain and there ain't no pride, just the grace of love on the evening tide. All the love we've known, all the love we made, all the love we're given, just a giveaway. When the journey's over, all that love abides, ripple into wave on the evening tide. Gonna live my day with that wave inside, letting go my fear, living in the light. All along this journey, Spirit be my guide, rowing me on home on the evening tide, rowing us on home on the evening tide. You sound beautiful. Thank you. Go in peace, everybody.